Welcome, my fellow seekers of peace and confidence, to this transformative journey into the heart of Stoic wisdom, a journey that could fundamentally change the way you interact with the world. Picture yourself walking into a room full of people, not with trepidation or self-doubt, but with a calm assurance, ready to connect and experience life as it is meant to be lived. Imagine the kind of inner strength that allows you to be truly present, without the burden of fear and anxiety. If you've ever felt held back by the fear of others' judgment or been crippled by the unease of social situations, know that you are not alone and that there is a way forward. Through the teachings of the ancient Stoics, we will uncover powerful insights and practical strategies to help us overcome social anxiety, embrace discomfort, and grow as individuals. Whether it's speaking up at work, meeting new people, or just feeling comfortable in your own skin, Stoicism holds the key to transforming fear into freedom. Stoicism has endured for centuries because it addresses the fundamental truths of the human condition. The brilliance of this philosophy lies in its directness, its simplicity, and its focus on what truly matters. Today we'll unravel how this ancient wisdom, developed by philosophers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, can be used to guide us through our everyday struggles with social anxiety. Imagine a life where your heart no longer races at the thought of social gatherings, where you can voice your opinions without that gnawing fear of being judged, and where you can move through social spaces with a sense of inner peace. By understanding what's in our control and practicing the virtues of courage and wisdom, we'll learn how to face our fears, one small step at a time, and build a stronger, more resilient version of ourselves. Chapter 1. Understanding the nature of social anxiety. Social anxiety isn't just nervousness. It's the overwhelming fear that you will be judged, ridiculed, or rejected by others. Whether it's the pounding of your heart before a presentation or the need to leave a party early because the anxiety becomes too much, these experiences are real and common. Seneca, the Roman philosopher, once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." When it comes to social anxiety, we often find ourselves overwhelmed not by what is actually happening, but by our imagined fears, the what-ifs that snowball in our minds. One of the first steps to managing social anxiety, then, is understanding it. When you feel that nervousness, recognize what is happening. Your brain is attempting to protect you from a perceived threat. In this case, the threat is social rejection. However, Stoicism teaches us to distinguish between real dangers and imagined ones. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Social anxiety doesn't have to define you. It's your response to these moments that determines the outcome. Another aspect of understanding social anxiety is recognizing its triggers. What are the situations that make you feel most anxious? Is it speaking in front of others, making small talk, or meeting strangers? By identifying these triggers, you can begin to anticipate them and apply Stoic practices to mitigate their impact. Knowledge is power, and knowing your anxiety triggers is the first step toward overcoming them. Remember, the Stoics believe that awareness is a prerequisite for change. Once you understand your patterns, you can begin the process of transformation. Understanding social anxiety also means understanding its roots. For many, social anxiety stems from a deep-seated fear of rejection or a desire for acceptance. We crave belonging, and the thought of being excluded or judged by others can trigger intense feelings of unease. Recognizing this fundamental human need for connection helps us approach social anxiety with more compassion for ourselves. By acknowledging that our fear comes from a desire to belong, we can start to address it without shame. Chapter 2. The Power of Control. Focusing on what's within your reach. The dichotomy of control is a central concept in Stoicism. It's the idea that there are things in our lives that we can control and things that we can't. The secret to inner tranquility is to focus only on what is in our control and let go of the rest. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This powerful reminder can help us reframe the things that cause social anxiety. Consider a situation where you're about to speak to a group of people. Your thoughts might race. What if I make a mistake? What if they think I'm foolish? These worries stem from attempting to control how others perceive you. which is ultimately beyond your reach. Instead, what can you control? You can control your preparation, your breathing, your internal dialogue, and your ability to stay present. These are the aspects you should focus on, which not only reduces anxiety, but gives you a sense of empowerment. Let's apply this concept to a common scenario. Meeting new people at a networking event. Instead of worrying about what they think of you, focus on what you can control, your own demeanor, your questions, and how genuinely you listen to others. As you shift your focus, the weight of social anxiety lessens. You begin to approach situations not with fear of what might happen, but with a sense of curiosity and openness. It's about managing your side of the interaction, not about seeking validation from others. When you focus on what is within your power, you also begin to let go of the burden of perfection. You cannot control how others interpret your actions or words, but you can strive to act with integrity and authenticity. This shift in focus brings with it a newfound freedom. You start to see social interactions as opportunities for connection, rather than as tests of your worth. By embracing the idea of control, you also come to accept that not everything will go perfectly, and that's okay. The Stoics teach us that true strength lies in accepting what is beyond our control and focusing on our responses. Learning to let go of what is beyond our control requires practice. It means recognizing that we cannot control whether someone likes us, but we can control whether we approach them with kindness. We cannot control whether people accept our ideas, but we can control how clearly we communicate them. By consistently focusing on what is within our power, we develop resilience, and we start to see that our value is not contingent on the approval of others. This is a liberating realization, one that allows us to engage with others without the weight of self-doubt. Chapter 3. Rational thinking as a tool against anxiety. A significant part of social anxiety is rooted in irrational thoughts, the catastrophizing, and the belief that worst-case scenarios will come true. Epictetus said, "Man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them." This couldn't be truer when it comes to social anxiety. A Stoic approach involves challenging those irrational thoughts with logic. Picture this. You're at a party and see a group of people you'd like to talk to, but immediately the anxious thoughts kick in. They'll think I'm awkward, I'll embarrass myself. Stop for a moment and use rational thinking to question these fears. Is it true that they'll definitely judge you? Can you know that for certain? Even if they do judge you, does it really matter in the grand scheme of your life? As you challenge these thoughts, their grip on you starts to loosen. Rational thinking also involves reframing negative thoughts. Instead of thinking, "I'll definitely embarrass myself," reframe it to, "I might feel nervous, but I can handle it." This shift in language is powerful. It acknowledges your anxiety without letting it dictate your behavior. You're not denying the possibility of discomfort. You're simply refusing to let it control your actions. Stoicism is about facing reality with clarity and courage, not ignoring it or running from it. Another tool for rational thinking is using evidence to challenge your thoughts. When you feel anxious about a social situation, ask yourself, what evidence do I have that things will go poorly? Have I faced similar situations before? And did they end in disaster? Often you'll find that your fears are based on speculation rather than reality. By grounding yourself in facts rather than assumptions, you can reduce the power of anxious thoughts and gain a clearer perspective. Chapter 4. Cultivating inner strength through virtue. The Stoics believed that real confidence and self-worth come not from external validation, but from within, through living in accordance with virtues like courage, wisdom, and self-discipline. Epictetus stated, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Building self-mastery involves facing the uncomfortable feelings that social anxiety brings rather than running from them. Courage is essential in overcoming social anxiety. Courage doesn't mean not feeling fear. It means feeling the fear and choosing to act anyway. Whether it's raising your hand in a meeting, approaching someone new, or speaking up for yourself, each courageous action builds on the last, creating a foundation of confidence. Remember that it's not about eliminating fear, but choosing not to let fear dictate your actions. Wisdom also plays a crucial role in overcoming social anxiety. Wisdom means recognizing that discomfort is a natural part of the human experience and that avoiding it only reinforces the cycle of anxiety. By practicing wisdom, you come to understand that the discomfort of social anxiety is temporary, but the growth that comes from facing it is long-lasting. Living in accordance with virtues like courage and wisdom leads to true self-confidence. Confidence that isn't swayed by the opinions of others, but rooted in your own values and actions. Self-discipline is another virtue that can help combat social anxiety. It's about committing to the practices that help you grow, even when they are uncomfortable. This could mean consistently exposing yourself to social situations that challenge you, practicing mindfulness daily, or taking time each day to reflect on your progress. By cultivating self-discipline, you build resilience and slowly expand your comfort zone. Chapter 5, Staying Present. The Art of Mindfulness. One of the reasons social anxiety is so debilitating is that it pulls you out of the present moment. Instead of experiencing the conversation or the event, you're lost in your head, worrying about what might happen or replaying what already has. Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, "Confine yourself to the present." When you're fully present, there's no room for the anxious thoughts to take hold. A practical way to cultivate present moment awareness is through mindfulness. Before entering a social situation, take a few deep breaths and focus on your surroundings, the colors, the sounds, the sensations. If you find your thoughts drifting into anxiety, gently bring yourself back to the present by focusing on your breath or the person in front of you. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to stay grounded, reducing anxiety naturally. Another mindfulness technique is to focus on your senses. What do you see, hear, and feel in the moment? By grounding yourself in your senses, you shift your attention away from anxious thoughts and into the present reality. This simple practice can be incredibly powerful in social situations, helping you stay engaged and calm. Mindfulness doesn't eliminate anxiety, but it makes it more manageable by keeping you anchored in the here and now, rather than letting your mind wander to imagine fears. Mindfulness can also help you become more attuned to others, improving your social interactions. When you're fully present, you listen more intently, pick up on nonverbal cues, and respond more thoughtfully. This not only reduces your anxiety, but also helps you connect with others on a deeper level. By practicing mindfulness, you transform social interactions from a source of fear into an opportunity for genuine connection. Chapter 6, Reflecting for Growth. Learning from social interactions. Self-reflection is key to making progress. The Stoics practiced regular reflection on their thoughts and actions as a way to grow. After a social event, instead of ruminating on what went wrong, reflect objectively. Ask yourself, what went well? What can I improve on next time? The goal isn't to be perfect, but to grow a little each time. Imagine you gave a presentation that didn't go as planned. Instead of beating yourself up, approach it with curiosity. Did you prepare enough? Were there factors beyond your control? How could you do better next time? This constructive reflection, rather than anxious rumination, helps you grow and become more resilient. It's not about avoiding failure, but learning from it and moving forward. Reflection also involves celebrating small victories. Did you speak up when you felt nervous? Did you stay in the conversation longer than you normally would? Recognizing these small wins is crucial as they build momentum and confidence. The Stoics teach us that progress is made in small steps, not leaps. Each time you reflect and learn, you're taking another step toward becoming the person you want to be. Self-reflection can also help you identify patterns in your anxiety. Are there certain types of situations that consistently trigger your anxiety? By recognizing these patterns, you can develop strategies to address them. Reflection isn't just about looking back, it's about using the past to inform your future actions. By learning from each experience, you become better equipped to handle similar situations in the future. Chapter 7, The Role of Self-Compassion in Building Resilience. Often, people with social anxiety are their own harshest critics. Stoicism encourages us to treat ourselves with compassion, just as we would a friend. When things don't go well, it's important to remind yourself that everyone makes mistakes. Embrace your imperfections, understanding that each stumble is a learning opportunity. By practicing self-compassion, you reduce the power of anxious thoughts and become more resilient in social settings. Self-compassion also involves acknowledging the courage it takes to face your fears. Each time you step into a situation that makes you anxious, you are acting with bravery. Recognize this effort, even if the outcome isn't perfect. Stoicism isn't about being flawless. It's about striving for growth while accepting your humanity. By treating yourself with kindness, you create an environment where you feel safe to take risks and grow. It's also important to recognize that setbacks are a natural part of the growth process. If you experience a social interaction that didn't go as well as you hoped, remind yourself that this is part of learning. No one improves without facing challenges. By approaching each setback with self-compassion, you create a space for yourself to grow without fear of failure. This resilience, built on a foundation of self-compassion, is what will ultimately help you overcome social anxiety. Chapter 8. Using visualization for positive social outcomes. Negative visualization, a practice well known in Stoicism, can also be turned around to cultivate positive expectations. Before entering a social situation, visualize yourself acting confidently and positively. See yourself speaking clearly, smiling, and connecting well with others. This form of mental rehearsal helps reduce anxiety by creating a positive expectation, guiding your actions toward success rather than allowing your fears to dictate your behavior. Visualization can also help you prepare for specific challenges. If you're worried about a particular scenario, imagine yourself navigating it with poise and confidence. Visualize how you would handle setbacks, such as a moment of awkward silence or a mistake, with grace. By mentally rehearsing positive outcomes, you prime yourself for success. This doesn't guarantee that everything will go perfectly, but it helps you feel more prepared and less anxious about the unknown. Another benefit of visualization is that it helps you build a mental image of yourself as someone capable of handling social situations. Often, people with social anxiety see themselves as awkward or incapable. By regularly visualizing positive interactions, you start to shift this self-image. You begin to see yourself as someone who can handle social situations with ease and grace. Over time, this shift in self-perception can lead to real changes in how you approach and experience social interactions. Chapter 9. Embracing discomfort as a path to growth. Stoicism teaches us that discomfort is an inevitable part of life and a powerful tool for growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Embracing social discomfort is key to overcoming anxiety. Step by step, seek out slightly uncomfortable situations and face them with courage. The more you expose yourself to social interactions, the less daunting they become, transforming discomfort into a stepping stone for personal growth. Embracing discomfort also involves changing your relationship with it. Instead of seeing discomfort as something to be avoided, view it as an opportunity to grow stronger. Each time you face an uncomfortable situation, you're expanding your comfort zone. The Stoics believed that the path to virtue and strength was paved with challenges. By welcoming discomfort, you build resilience and fortify your character. It's helpful to set small, achievable goals that push you slightly outside your comfort zone. This could mean initiating a conversation with a colleague, attending a social event for a short time, or practicing public speaking in a safe environment. Each time you face a challenge and come out the other side, you prove to yourself that you are capable of handling discomfort. This builds confidence and reduces the power of anxiety over time. Chapter 10. The value of perspective, understanding the bigger picture. Lastly, Stoicism encourages us to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. In the grand scheme of your life, how significant is this one conversation or one presentation? When you realize how fleeting most social interactions are, it helps put your anxiety into perspective. This doesn't mean your feelings aren't valid, but it does mean you have the power to reframe them, to view them from a wider, less personal lens. Remember, the opinions of others are often as fleeting as the moment itself. Another aspect of perspective is recognizing that everyone else is dealing with their own insecurities. You're not alone in feeling anxious. Most people have experienced similar fears at some point. By understanding this, you can approach social interactions with more empathy, both for yourself and others. Everyone is navigating their own challenges, and your anxiety is just one part of the shared human experience. This broader perspective can help lessen the intensity of anxious feelings and remind you that you're not alone. Perspective also involves focusing on what truly matters in your life. Are you letting the fear of social judgment prevent you from pursuing meaningful relationships or opportunities? When you focus on your larger goals, such as building strong connections, advancing in your career, or contributing to your community, you begin to see social anxiety as a challenge worth facing. It becomes not just about managing discomfort, but about pursuing the life you truly want to live, putting Stoicism into practice. To illustrate these concepts, let's look at some real-life stories of how Stoic principles can be applied to deal with social anxiety. Consider Sarah, who dreaded office meetings because she feared her ideas weren't good enough. By adopting the Stoic principle of focusing only on what she could control, Sarah decided to prepare thoroughly and accept that others' opinions were outside her control. Slowly, she began to participate more, and though not every contribution was met with applause, her anxiety began to lessen as her focus shifted to self-improvement rather than external validation. Then there's Alex, who struggled with networking events, feeling out of place and awkward. By practicing mindfulness, Alex focused on being fully present during conversations, listening intently and responding thoughtfully. By letting go of the pressure to be impressive, Alex found that conversations flowed more naturally, and the anxiety started to fade into the background. Another example is Michael, who often felt overwhelmed when speaking in front of a group. He began using positive visualization techniques before his presentations, imagining himself speaking confidently and engaging his audience. He also practiced rational thinking, reminding himself that making a mistake wasn't the end of the world. Over time, Michael found that his anxiety lessened, and he started to enjoy public speaking rather than fear it. These stories highlight that Stoic principles aren't just abstract ideas. They are practical tools that can make a real difference in our lives. Consider also Maria, who struggled with small talk at social gatherings. She often felt that her conversations were dull and worried that others found her uninteresting. By practicing self-compassion, Maria began to recognize that not every conversation had to be perfect. She focused on being genuinely curious about others and asking thoughtful questions rather than worrying about impressing them. Slowly, she found that her anxiety lessened and her interactions became more enjoyable. Conclusion: Stoic wisdom for lasting change. The Stoics teach us that while we may not control every situation we encounter, we always control our response. By applying Stoic wisdom, focusing on what's in our power, practicing rational thinking, embodying virtues, staying present, and reflecting constructively, we can turn social anxiety from a crippling obstacle into an opportunity for growth. Overcoming social anxiety is not about becoming fearless, but about becoming courageous, choosing to act in spite of the fear. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius said, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. You have the power to transform how you approach social situations, one Stoic principle at a time. Start small, choose one principle discussed today, and begin incorporating it into your life. Notice how your anxiety responds and adjust as you go. This journey is about progress, not perfection. Over time, the more you engage with these ideas, the more freedom and confidence you'll find in your social interactions. If you found this exploration helpful, I'd love for you to leave a comment sharing what resonated with you most. Remember to like this video and subscribe for more content focused on applying ancient wisdom to modern challenges. Together, let's continue learning, growing, and showing up for life with courage and resilience. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.